fishing news is sponsored by these fine partners.
Happy New Year from the Fisherman magazine. I'm Jim Hutchinson with a New Jersey, Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman. Can't wait for 2020 to end, but things are finally starting to quiet down in these parts, especially these in-between days between Christmas and the New Year's holiday. A few stripers to talk about this week, but Tautog remains the best bet for those diehards out there looking to score. Now, the cold months are when the hardcore toggers hit those personal bests, seeking double-digit greatness. I'd remind you that it was in January 2015 that Ken Westerfelt caught that world record tog, a 28.8 pounder, while fishing down in Ocean City, Maryland. Of course, it was the spring of 2015 that the current New Jersey state record of 25.37 pounds was caught aboard Captain Tom Daffin's Fishin' Fever out of Cape May. We talked about that last week. Of course, that mark was eclipsed last Sunday, December 20th, again on board Daffin's Fishin' Fever, roughly 20 miles outside of Cape May and about 100 feet of water. A 25.8 pound tog, a new pending state record for Chris Sullivan of Ocean County. Yes, it's pending. The state of New Jersey has to certify that catch. We expect that any day. Well, this past Sunday, I was down in Cape May myself. A nice invite from the Cape Atlantic Striper Club to join those guys on a private charter aboard the Cape May Lady out of Wildwood. I was with Frank Mahalik, the namesake of the New Century Frank Mahalik Pro Togger rod, the same outfit that Sully used last Sunday to catch that state record. Frank will have that full story, a first-hand exclusive report sometime later in the Fisherman magazine. But sharing some rail space and a few white leggers with the Cape Atlantic Striper guys and Frank Mahalik, I was able to get some good advice from the Pro Togger himself for you folks looking for winter wrecking greatness.
Winter black fishing is not for the faint of heart. You really have to have the clothes to get you through the chilly part of the morning. And right now, it just so happens we're into a nice part of the day, and it's really comfortable out here. But those first couple hours of the morning would have been really tough if we weren't geared up correctly. Stormer coats, muck boots, Under Armour, long john, stuff like that. But those muck boots and that Stormer coat and my rabbit fur hat is kind of key to getting me by. The rods I'm using, Century Pro Togger, obviously Frank Mahalik Century Pro Togger is my favorite. Daiwa Saltiga 15 reel, and I'm using 65 pound Daiwa J braid line. 60 pound Andy Mono top shot, and then I tie my slider rigs and Sweetheart rigs with 60 pound Tsunami fluorocarbon and Owner 5/0 cutting point hooks. Trying to be very patient. The key is we're not fishing for little fish. Fishing for big fish requires more patience, a little bit of a different mentality. I'm fishing with halves of big crab, and I have it sitting on the bottom right now, and I'm fishing a slack line. So if you notice the rod, which is perfectly balanced, the rod's just sitting there and the line is taut, and I can feel every tap if a fish were to hit that line. But I'm not moving the sinker, because if you move a sinker, you're going to get attacked by dogfish. So I'm just going to very patiently sit here and wait. If I do feel a tap, I'm going to use my forearm to raise the rod tip. The rod butt goes into my gut, and I'm going to crank like hell and get that fish out of the structure as quickly as possible. And that's how you land big blackfish.
Now, Frank has always been one of our top-line seminar speakers here in the New Jersey, Pennsylvania area for all the boat and outdoor shows. Regrettably, the C word, COVID, will not allow us to really have too many in-person seminars in the winter of 2021. But if you're jonesing for a how-to fix, be sure to visit thefisherman.com for details on the first in a series of live virtual seminars during the winter of 2021. The first is on Tuesday, January 5th. Captain John Padawano. Now, he's talking snap jigging, which is a unique style of fishing spin tackle that may change the way you fish for fluke weekies and striped bass. Get full details at the link address on screen. Be sure to stay tuned here for future seminar programs from the Fisherman magazine. This will go on throughout the winter of 2021. That's your how-to stuff for now, for the togging and the snap jigging next week. But as far as the fishing action in the region, suffice to say our weekly reports are getting slimmer and slimmer as participation wanes and the weather gets a little bit colder. But let's go for a rundown from north to south in speaking with a few of our shops and captains in terms of what's happening right now throughout the readership area. Now, Phil at the tackle box in Hazlitt, he said fishing has started to slow down. It slowed up a few days before Christmas, right before that storm, and then water temps took a dip, big drop on Saturday morning. Overall, Phil said he thought Brunhilde was warming up her pipes for her final song. It is winter after all. It's what we can expect. Down into the Belmar area, Bobby Matthews at Fisherman's Den, he said Shark River headboats are picking away at the blackfish. Some good days, some days not so good. On the local beaches there in Monmouth County, Bobby said a couple of the shop's regulars have had a few small stripers first light during the week. I know Greg Hewitt has been logging some beach time, so give that man a cigar. Tins and teasers. Teasers and tins. Dennis at the Hook House in Toms River spoke to him on Monday about the fishing reports. He said the nighttime perch bite in the Toms River is solid, but the striper action there in the river has been red hot, believe it or not. Anywhere from the mouth of the Toms River on out, simply on fire. No place to burn spots, but he did say that anybody plugging is really kind of picking. It's a struggle there. But guys soaking bloodworms had multiple good reports of folks. And one guy, I believe he's 90 years old, a visitor, a regular customer there at the Hook House, had like 20 stripers on Christmas Eve. Dennis says a lot of these fish have sea lice, a good sign. And maybe some of these fish kind of came inside during the last couple of storms. Will they winter over in the Toms River? It'll be something to find out. Ever since Oyster Creek closed down a few years ago, that artificial warm water in the creek from the nuclear generating station, I believe more of those stripers that are wintering over are spread out throughout the bay. Got word from Dennis on Tuesday, too, that bloodworms have arrived. So you folks that are looking to get into that white perch bite and the last couple of days of stripers in the back, you have that option. And don't forget, as of January 1st, you are not allowed to target striped bass in the back bays and rivers. Not here in the Garden State anyway. That fishery won't open again until March 1st. Farther south, Greg at Fisherman's headquarters said a couple of guys like Paul Carner are still giving it a shot with the tins and teasers. For small bass in the LBI surf, it's spotty at best. Greg said there's more skunk days than there are good days, but there's still a shot to hook up in the suds there on LBI where you can target striped bass in the ocean waters year-round. Again, outside, on the front, the eastern edge, you can fish for stripers year-round. You just can't target stripers in the back. But again, white perch should be keeping Back Bay and river anglers busy out back through much of the central and southern part of the state especially. Dave with Absecon Bay Sportsman Center said one of his shop regulars named Brazil dipped his kayak into the Mullica after picking up a couple of dozen bloodworms from Dave at Absecon Bay. He had a blast with good-sized white perch. He had to quit only because he didn't have any more room on the kayak. How's that for action? Dave said he's going to be around all winter and should have all the bait needed for success. All you have to do is give him a call ahead of time. That means bloodworms. It means killies. It means some grass shrimp. So just give him a shout. Reports out of South Jersey getting into Cape May this week included Fanatics in Ocean City, who said the folks there said there's still some short bass to be had, small plastics along the jetties. Not a lot, but Jose Lopez, he let me know that Christmas striper bite was solid. He had several stripers in Ocean City over the weekend using the Fishaholic shads in chartreuse. And a new Christmas present, a gift he got from his wife. Tsunami Carbon Shield 2 and a Saltex 4000. Great reel. Lucky man, Jose. For the fleet out of South Jersey Marina, we spoke to Jason, who said very few boats left in the marina. They're closed for a few days, South Jersey Marina, but the party boat Porgy 4 has been blackfishing and doing quite well, as usual. And again, like I said, on the Cape May Lady out of Wildwood, we headed south on Sunday towards the Delaware reef sites. Reef Site 11, I believe. We're picking all over that. I've heard some reports at the Cape May Reef, and again, some of those folks are gone farther out, 20 miles or so. But focusing on those tog in the coming days seems like the thing that's going to carry us through January and February, especially for those boats that stay in the water. Again, our black sea bass fishery is quickly coming to a close on December 31st. As of January 1st, no more black sea bass. Brett Taylor and his son Luke and some of their buddies got out on the Gambler for sea bass for one of the final offshore biscuit trips of the year for that boat. Most of the for-hire boats at this point, the head boats and those boats that are those charters that are still in the water, I guess they'll be gunning for some pollock, some cod. Porgies open year-round, especially Central and North Jersey, where some of those porgies are more of the jumbo size. And, of course, hopefully we'll get a few good ling this time of year as well. Captain Bobby Bogan, though, on the Gambler told me he's trying something different. He's going to run these bi-weekly southern excursions for Tautog. He's going to head south 30 to 50 miles from Manasquan Inlet. He's running 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. You hardcore toggers, you might want to get on one of those trips. That starts on Saturdays. It sails on Wednesday and Saturday. Kicks off this Saturday. That circle hook mandate for the state of New Jersey, well, for all of the Atlantic coast, kicks into gear January 1st, but we did get word from the state of New Jersey that they're ready to deal with it as of January 1st. I've got more on that in 90 seconds, but first, let's get a Sweetwater update from my friend George, the Pocono Outdoors guy.
Well, hey, thanks, Jim. You know, guys are finding some safe ice here and there, but with the recent rains, it's going to be hit or miss, so you got to be really careful when you're finding some ice. Our good friend Josh Taylor was out up on Tobyhanna State Park and found a couple inches of ice right before it starts heading out, but he got into some nice bass, and that's a great catch. This is one almost 5 pounds out of the ice. That's a great catch, Josh. But I do have some reader email I want to get to. Longtime reader Carmen Bufardesi, I hope I said that right, Carmen, said, "Hey, George, I see you every week in the Jersey Fishery Report. A couple of weeks ago, you mentioned Justin Lerner and how he was using plugs in the rivers. What kind of plugs does he use? And if you can share what rivers he's fishing, that would be much appreciated. Thanks, Carmen." Well, Carmen, I'm not going to spot burn anybody. I would suggest following Justin for where he fishes. But as far as what jerk baits to use, you know, we've been talking about this for a few weeks. So I reached out to Justin, and he kind of said he doesn't have much of a preference. He uses a lot of the small Rapalas, and to him, color makes no difference. He's been successful pretty much no matter what he throws. So I reached out to our local Pocono guru, Eric Goodstaw, and he had a different story. He used a lot of Rapalas as well. In the 2, 3, 4, even 5-inch range, and some examples are here, and a couple of colors. Now you can take a look at these, everything from the Fire Tiger down to a brown trout pattern, and these have been very successful for him in the Pocono waters. I hope this answers your question, Carmen, but you guys get out and get on some fish yourself. Best of luck in the new year. From Pennsylvania, I'm George, your Pocono Outdoors guy.
So right before Christmas, the New Jersey Division of Fish and Wildlife, they issued their press release that announced officially that effective January 1st, 2021, non-offset inline circle hooks must be used when fishing for striped bass with natural baits in all waters. Right? For subscribers to the Fisherman magazine and our regular viewers to this video forecast, this should not be a surprise. It was the mandate of the Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Commission, and ultimately the Division of Fish and Wildlife in New Jersey just modified their Delaware spring spawning regulations from the Salem River up to the Calhoun Street Bridge to change that area to say all waters. So again, that meshes with the coast-wide requirements. For most of you, that's not a surprise. But there are questions, many of them on social media, surrounding loopholes and, I guess, workarounds. For example, I'm getting this question all the time. What if I'm using a mullet rig to fish for bluefish? Well, back to the language. Quote, "Circle hooks must be used when fishing for striped bass with natural baits in all waters." What if I'm using chunk bunker and fishing for catfish? Again, circle hooks must be used when fishing for striped bass with natural bait in all waters. Yeah, how about if I'm rigging live eels for cobia? Look, circle hooks must be used when you are fishing for striped bass with natural baits in all waters. When you are fishing for striped bass. Look, if you've been quarantined on a desert island for the last year and a half, and this new rule in 2021 is taking you by surprise, and you want to weigh in on this, by all means, the New Jersey Division of Fish and Wildlife, they are going to be together at a meeting of the New Jersey Marine Fisheries Council on January 7th. That's a virtual meeting. I sit in them all the time. You can go over to the link, find it at the current issue of the Fisherman magazine in the print edition, or go online to thefisherman.com under the New Jersey option for current issue. It'll give you all the information. It'll give you a link to get onto that live webinar on January 7th. Feel free to sit back in the comfort of your own living room and lob virtual hand grenades at the division staff online, anti-social media style if you want. Staffers will be there to answer your questions and deflect criticisms. I hope to see you there because I'll be there. We'll have a lot more about circle hooks in the coming days, weeks, and months over at thefisherman.com in the printed edition, all those printed pages of the Fisherman magazine, and here in our weekly forecast for the coming months. I mean, commercial fishermen have been required to use these circle hooks offshore on their long line trips for the last 20 years. We kind of knew this was coming. There's a gear restriction to reduce the mortality rate of released stripers. It goes into effect January 1st. Again, if you didn't get your voice heard for those striped bass hearings over the last year and a half, January 7th, log in, let the New Jersey Division of Fish and Wildlife know what you're thinking. Don't forget about our holiday gift special. It's still going on for another couple of days. It runs through the end of 2020. Just $19.95 for a year's worth of the Fisherman magazine, the printed edition, and of course, access behind the paywall, so it doesn't come crashing down when you're visiting thefisherman.com. All the great benefits from being a member of the Fisherman magazine. In fact, you can get 2 years, just $38. Go over to thefisherman.com to subscribe now and get the full suite of details. Finally, we're ending this week's report on a sad note. I learned late on Tuesday afternoon of the sudden passing of friend Captain Chris Hewitt of the Big Mohawk headboat out of Belmar, who died suddenly this week. No details right now, and that's not really important. What is important is from our whole family here at the Fisherman magazine, we offer our condolences and prayers to the entire Hewitt family, to friends and family. It's such a sudden loss. I'm heartbroken. And to my friend Greg, I am so sorry. And if there's anything we can do, let us know. With that, I look forward to finally bidding adieu to 2020, the year from hell. Here's to 2021 and a better year, better fortune and health, better news for all of us, fair winds and following seas. I will see you next year here at thefisherman.com.
Steigercraft boats, built by people who fish our waters. Serious anglers choose Steigercraft for their 40 years of boat building experience right here in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. Visit steigercraft.com for a dealer near you.